Good morning, everybody. My name is Juan Salas. Welcome this Friday morning. We're going to talk about the 3 apps to simplify your bookkeeping experience. And I am an instructor with a small business education program with Extension here in Las Vegas. Today, let's begin with our wonderful resources from the Nevada Department of Business and Industry. If you don't know this website, you should know about it. There's a bunch of resources, and the whole purpose is having one place where you can find a lot of Nevada resources that are mostly free. We are in here, and you can learn more about other departments and other resources. So check out the business website and also download their roadmap. It's very, very helpful. So today, Friday morning, we're going to talk about some accounting process, how important it is, and then we're going to jump into some software, some apps. We're going to talk about Wave, QuickBooks, and Xero today. Yes, there are others out there. There are always more apps coming up into the market, but we're going to talk about the main 3 ones that I consider. There are the 3 main ones, and we're going to give you some tools, some information to help you evaluate the best option. Now, you can take that knowledge and evaluate other applications as well, okay? So this is going to give you more of an action plan where you can definitely decide on what you need for your bookkeeping. Let's begin. So, you are here to choose a tool to organize your bookkeeping, okay? But before you pick up the tool, you have to understand the process. So we're going to review some concepts. What is the accounting process? You know, the accounting process is a routine process that, happens continuously, that is about register, classify, and summarize all the information about transactions from the business, all of them, okay? Whatever they are not business deductions or businesses, but all of them. All the money that comes in and comes out, that's the whole accounting process, to register, classify, and summarize. But why do we do this? Why? What's the reason behind it? What is it for? The intent is to maintain an order and clarity, okay? Order and clarity. So we can comply with our tax obligations and have good information to make appropriate business decisions, okay? This is that you should keep in mind when choosing an application for your bookkeeping, okay? This is what it's for, and this is why we do it. So, to give you another perspective, the accounting process takes all transactions. You have to assign a category, what I sometimes call like a business purpose or non-business purpose sometimes. And that category, it has to be under one of the type of accounts. And there are only 5 type of accounts: assets, liability, income, expenses, and owner's equity. This is just a background information that I'm gonna show you what it is in the on the apps, okay? Just to so everybody's on the same page when we're gonna go and talk about the apps, okay? We have another class that is about bookkeeping, and we'll talk about definitions and the whole purpose more in detail. But it's important to visualize what is the application gonna do for you, okay? The whole purpose of the application is gonna be that it's gonna pull all the transactions in one single system. It's gonna assign a category to those transactions. all the categories are gonna be defined on what we call the chart of accounts. We're gonna see where the chart of accounts is on those 3 applications. Those categories get assigned to a type of account. These are non-negotiable: assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses. This follows the accounting rules, so this is non-negotiable. On categories, yes, you can name your own categories. You can put it whatever name you want, with whatever purpose it is for. So at the end, if everything is organized, we're gonna be able to make reports, profit statements, balance sheet, cash flows. That's gonna help us monitor our business. You can give this information to your tax preparer, to your accountant, to your partners, to your investors, to the banks, whoever needs these reports, because they are going to be very, very well organized through the accounting process. And you can take decisions, apply for loans, and comply with all your tax obligations. Okay, so that's the process and the purpose of choosing an application that's going to help you with your bookkeeping. I hope I didn't lose you now, but it's very important to start with the motive and the reasons behind any actions. Okay, so before we jump into the apps, what is the basic expectations from a bookkeeping application? Okay, this is something that you have to keep in mind. This is something that this is kind of the minimum that should be the expectations for a bookkeeping app. Cloud access. You have to be able to access it anywhere, everywhere. And maybe there's a phone application that it will help you simplify things in an app. Being able to collaborate with other people, all of them should have this, because you have to collaborate with your bookkeeper, with your tax guy, with maybe an investor. Maybe you have to assign some tasks. For example, you're going to have an assistant that's going to take care of the billing, receiving billing, paying bills, or somebody else that's going to be able to charge the customers and follow up on invoices or proposals. Okay, so there has to be a collaboration component. Bring the information from the bank account. That eliminates errors. The system, it should have the capabilities of importing all the information from your bank accounts, from your credit card, from your PayPal account many times into the system. So you eliminate input errors and you can classify that better. It should help you create rules for repetitive processes that will end up saving you time. So it should be able to customize some processes. So if you see a transaction from Best Buy or from Office Depot, or if I have a landscaping business, everything from Star Nursery, you just put it on cost of goods sold, classify as that. So it will save me time. The program should learn and help you come up with a better process. Have the facility to create reports. That's a given. I mean, there's no point of having the information, organizing the information, if you cannot create reports in order to make decisions, to take decisions, and inform others about their business. Okay, so those are the minimum expectations that you should demand from an app, from my point of view. We have some comments. Perfect, thank you. Let me know if there are any questions. You can use the chat, you can use the Q&A, or other means. Raise your hand. Okay, let's talk about some unreasonable expectations. Have updated information about your accounts. I mean, Juan, that's the whole purpose. I'm getting this, you know, to have updated information. It doesn't happen by itself. It's like, you know, buying a drill, and it doesn't make holes by itself. You need to dedicate time, follow the process, so you can have the account informations. Have organized information about categories of income and expenses. The software can learn based on whatever you tell it to learn. So the application is going to be limited by your ability to use it and the time you dedicate to the application. Okay, this is not a magic pill. Please understand that there's a learning curve, an education curve that you have to pass through through any application, and be able to use the information to make decisions and comply with tax obligations. It will not happen automatically. It is an unreasonable expectation that the software will do that for itself. You might have to do it yourself. You might have to hire somebody. You might have to delegate it to somebody. Okay. So yes, it is a tool, but it is a great tool. There are wonderful technology apps that are dynamic, full of colors, full of processes, but you need to put time into it and plan to execute the process of accounting. Otherwise, you're gonna not reach your goals about having organized information and be able to use reports. So now that we are kind of in the same page about concepts, expectations, and what it needs to be done, we're gonna jump into the software. Perfect, thank you, Noe, for your comments. Let's look at Wave. I don't see my green square. Is my screen being shared? Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So Wave, it is very simple and it is very quick to start the process with Wave. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're in, you have access to Wave, you can start playing with it. It's very quick. Most of the bookkeeping functions are free. This is what everybody loves about Wave, the free concept, okay? But like I said, most of the functions for bookkeeping are free, but you have to pay for options, or I'm sorry, functions about receiving payments and payroll services. So if you don't need to receive payments, and we're going to show you on the website, or have payroll services, this is going to be free. And free is good in many times. They will offer you some other services like having a bookkeeper, a virtual bookkeeper, taxes, and insurance. You know, there's always a catch. So something for free, they're gonna have your information. They will try to sell you other stuff, but it's okay. If you don't buy, if you have good control and you don't need to buy any extra, yes, you're gonna have a free software that you can do your bookkeeping. If your business grows, eventually you will need employees and some other functions. So you might need to upgrade to other apps if you need to. But for starters, or from maybe like a side business, You're getting your feet wet in as a freelancer, maybe some design, for some photography. Hey, you're gonna be good with this offer. Everything that you need, it should be there. Points to consider. If you need to keep up with projects, with project developments, for example, I have a project to design a website, which I'm gonna contract. I'm gonna have to pay some other professional to make the logo, some other professional to make the web design, some Facebook marketing expenses. So if you need to keep track of projects, isolated projects by itself, you're not going to be able to do it with Wave. Okay. Also, if you have to manage inventory and you have to keep track of time, for example, how much time did your employee invested on a particular client or you invested on a particular project, it is going to be very, very limited. Technical help, mostly by email and chat only. And that's happening with all of them, with all three of them. They will give you a lot of information sources, but most of the communication is email and chat. They have a list of possible banks that they can connect with. So hopefully your bank is going to be on that list. Otherwise, it's going to be a little complicated to have that feed of information from your bank. There are some mixed reviews about receiving payments. Maybe depends on your industry or the type of customers that you have. So there are some bad reviews, good reviews about their capability to receive payments. So before to jump into Quickbooks, let's take a look at Wave. Where is Wave? Checks my email. Wave. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yes, perfect. So this is Wave, and this is the pricing. Like I mentioned, the accounting, invoicing, free of charge forever, basically now, if you sign up. To receive payments, they have kind of the same charges of the regular credit card processing company, 1% for ACH, but it will take some days to get the money. For payroll, the fees are very reasonable, very comparable to what is out there on the market. So if you decide to go with Wave, it's a very good option for basic accounting, and you're going to have to buy their services if you want to receive payments or do any other payroll. Let's on Wave, let me just check right here, create a team. Let me see if I can show you Wave real quick. I'm gonna sign up over here. Texting. I already had it open up, but when I sign up in the presentation, it kicked me out. I'm gonna show you what is the platform. Let me give you back. So let's continue with the presentation. I'm gonna show you a comparison chart between all of them. QuickBooks. There's a lot of talk about QuickBooks. A lot of people like QuickBooks because it's one of the most popular softwares out there. So you can definitely trust QuickBooks, and many of the accountants out there, many of the tax people out there, they prefer to use QuickBooks. So that's another scenario. If you're looking for an app, okay, if you're looking for an app and your accountant already uses QuickBooks, hey, maybe you want to use QuickBooks. But you have to talk to your tax guy, so definitely that you are on the same page every time. I think I have the account right here. Perfect. Let me show you. Can you see my screen on Wave? Perfect. So this is Wave. It is very, very easy to sign up, and you're gonna get to this dashboard very quick. In this presentation, I'm gonna show you the dashboards of all three apps. This is the first one. This is Wave. Why? Because you have to get familiar with the dashboards and get a feeling of, yes, I like it. I like the way it is organized. I like the way it presents the information. It is not overwhelming, and I can work with that. So this is the dashboard for Wave. You're gonna find a quick report about your cash flow, your profit and loss. You can definitely view the report in a different period. You can see who owes you money, the bills that you have to pay. A good example, the bills that you have to pay. The program doesn't know the bills that you have to pay. You have to let it know first, and then it's gonna tell you, okay, these are the bills that are coming your way, okay? So it is a fantastic tool, but needs some dedication and needs the process to gather the information in order to tell you what's going on. For example, we're talking about the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts is very well organized on the 5 type of accounts: assets, liabilities, income, expenses, and equity. Okay, so on the expenses, it already comes with some default accounts: accounting fees, computer hardware, internet, some insurance. All these categories of expenses, you can definitely change it. You can save them, you can change it, you can add whatever you need to do. That's the purpose of the program, to gather the information, categorize it under the proper type of account, so you can later create reports. Wave has most of the most common reports: profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow. Very clean, very organized, very simple. They try to make it very user-friendly. You don't need to be an accountant to find your way through this. You have to know many of the concepts, like we talked about at the beginning, but you can find the reports. Payroll, if you sign up for their services, yes, you're going to have access to that. And then you have the option for some more detailed reporting. But basically, this is the view, the feeling of this program. Okay. Now let's go back to the presentation. Perfect. Okay, you should be able to see my QuickBooks slides right now. Let me know if it's not happening. QuickBooks, like I was mentioning, it is very popular. It has a lot of followers, accountants that use this program, but it needs more training. It definitely uses more technical vocabulary. They have a lot of learning tools, a lot of tutorials. I think the learning curve it's a little more steep in this particular software, but there are tons of educational materials. I mean, if you jump into YouTube and put QuickBooks tutorial, it's going to be a lot of accountants that are giving you tips on how to and things like that. QuickBooks has a lot of plans, options. Okay, it is not as I think it's more. It takes more time to take a decision about the plan that you want to use on QuickBooks. And we're going to take a look to those plans. So let's go to talk about the pricing. The pricing for Wave was pretty simple, right? For QuickBooks, it's a little more complicated. It's not complication. You have more options. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad. Depends on how you see it. So you got your simple start, 12 bucks right now. After 3 months, they're gonna charge you 25. Then you got your $25, basically your $50 plan, your $80 plan, and $180. The most important part about QuickBooks is you have to evaluate which plan do you like. You can switch. You can definitely go up, you can go down, but try to start with what you really need. So on the simple start, you have a lot of good stuff. It's gonna be 25 bucks at the end, but you can generate all the invoices. You can accept payments as well, but you're gonna have to pay a fee, of course. You can track miles. You can manage your cash flow. Here's the thing about deciding on a software also. Maximize tax deductions. That's kind of, I know. If you do proper bookkeeping, you are maximizing tax deductions with whatever tool you have, okay? So it doesn't depend on the software if you're maximizing tax deductions really. Then manage cash flow. Again, it doesn't give you automatic management capabilities, the app. It will depend on whatever information you keep track of and if you're organized. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to manage your cash flow. So a lot of the subtitles may sound really catchy, but it's not as automatic as they tell you, or it seems to be. On the 25 essentials, you have more stuff. Users, for example, you have 3 users. On the simple start, you have to plan to work with you and yourself. On the essentials, yes, you can share up to 3 users, manage and pay some bills, and track time. So if you're not going to work with anybody else, hey, maybe you're good with the simple start. If you're going to work with somebody else, maybe you have an assistant, a tax guy, and you, yes, you're going to have to start with essentials. The plus, which is supposed to be the most popular plan, you can track project profitability and inventory. Those are the main differences between the 50 and the 80 a month. So if you're not managing inventory and you're not going to manage projects, go back to the other one. And if you're okay with the 3 users and not the 5 users, perfect. Just reach the essentials and that's it, move on. Later in the next step, it tells you if you wanna choose payroll. So payroll is gonna be additional as well. You got your payroll core, payroll premium. Some of the add-ons are workers' comp administration, HR supporting center, expert review, track time on the go. Maybe if you have some employees that work remotely and you need to keep track of them on the time they spent on the business, on the clock, yes, you might need the payroll premium. But if not, hey, you can go with the payroll core and you should be fine. So like I mentioned, QuickBooks, excellent program. It has more bells and whistles. So you definitely need to know which plan you would like to use. Now, I'm gonna give you a link. It looks like it locked me out because of time, but I'm gonna give you a link on something that you're gonna love. This is a link. Let me copy this. Oops. Give me 1 second here. I wanna share this link with you. There we go. I'm gonna put this on the chat. There it is. This is gonna give you access to a sample company for QuickBooks. I'm gonna show you here. If you're not seeing my screen for some reason, please let me know. If you go to that address, to that link, certify that you are not a robot, hopefully. You're gonna have access to a sample company in QuickBooks. Feel free to just play with it, okay? There's the link on the chat. You can do whatever you want with this company, with this sample company. It's nothing that's gonna happen. It's not your information. It's not gonna get saved. You can play with it. You can explore. Then when you close the window, it's gonna go back to the old one. So this is a quick sample company that you can play with. So remember the dashboard from Wave? This is the dashboard for QuickBooks. Yes, it has more stuff. The business overview will provide you the same information, most of the same information, but in a different way, okay? You have your balances for the bank accounts, your savings accounts, your credit cards, some invoices outstanding, what's the age on those invoices, your expense reports by categories. It looks pretty good. It really looks pretty good. And it looks pretty simple too. Their menu is gonna be a little bit more extensive because it's QuickBooks. It's supposed to have more details, more robust. The chart of accounts, it is organized in a different way. Remember on Wave, we had the chart of accounts just by tabs. Here is all mixed, but you can sort it by the type of accounts. So you have your expenses first, your income, your assets, your liabilities, and things like that. Your bank reconciliation, it has more stuff, definitely. but it has more stuff is because it has more tools to create better reports and things like that. So over here, what it does, it brings all the information from your bank. There are two steps in QuickBooks. Something that is called your banking feed, where all the information from your bank account comes. And then you have to just say add. And it's basically you are approving that that transaction that's gonna go to your register. Your register, it's the collection of all the transactions that were already approved by you or by any rules. So it goes into the books. A good example right here is, for example, on the savings account, it says that the bank feed, the bank information that it was transferred from the institution to QuickBooks, it says that your bank is $200. That's the balance. But in QuickBooks, you have a balance of 800. So what it's saying is it is not balanced. The information that is in QuickBooks does not match the information that is on the bank account. So that's a problem. So you go to your savings account and you see, wow, yes, there's an extra deposit right here. So you do the matching, and then you can double check what's the problem later on between the balance and the QuickBooks matching, okay? So maybe there was some cash, maybe there was some transactions that it didn't record it. So QuickBooks has a lot of more information on one single page compared to Wave. So it's a matter of preferences, okay? You got payroll, you got mileage as well, but all that stuff is sometimes extra depending on the plan that you have, okay? But hey, there's an app you can download on your cell phone, pretty cool. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay. I think I touched everything on what I wanted to cover with QuickBooks. Let's go to Xero. This is the third app that we are reviewing. Xero is catching up with QuickBooks. It's one of the top competitors for QuickBooks out there. It's always following QuickBooks. So if QuickBooks has something going on, they will try to come up with that feature as well. It has unlimited users. That's a good point. Remember QuickBooks, depending on the plan, you might have 1, 3, or 5. It has a limited users. And you can assign it different levels of access under a single company. What makes Xero different also is they wanna complement with other apps. So for example, Xero doesn't do payroll at all. There's no an option for payroll. What they do is they synchronize with Gusto, which is a payroll app as well. QuickBooks, for example, they came up with a scanning option for receipts. So whenever you have an expense, you can use your cell phone, take a PDF picture, and we'll upload into QuickBooks. Pretty neat. So what Xero did is they integrated that with HubDoc. So I don't know if you pronounce it that way, but they integrate that function, they collaborate with HubDoc so they can help their clients do the same thing as QuickBooks does. There's a very neat thing about having a portal for the client. It is not a very fancy portal. It is just a very basic portal that a client gets access to, where they have their invoice and they can pay it right there and just keep track of the basic communication stuff. Okay, just invoices, just documents. Also, you can create some lists for clients and suppliers. You can do the same in QuickBooks, but Xero made it a little bit more obvious, the use of it. So they put more emphasis on how you can use those lists for your convenience. They try not to use too much bookkeeping, accounting terminology. So they want to keep it simple to some extent. I mean, the rules are the rules. You have to apply them either or. But they are trying to make it more friendly accounting vocabulary. Let's put it that way. Like we do here in extension, we know we simplify a lot of this stuff. So let's take a look to Xero. If I lose my sharing capabilities at any moment, let me know. So this is Xero, and these are its fees. It is very comparable to QuickBooks. Sometimes they have a lower tier pricing. Let me see if there are any disclaimers here. Say prices are changing on November 15th. That's a good thing to know. So this is the pricing for QuickBooks. Ignore the 22. I mean, it's going up to 45 after 3 months. So these are the prices for QuickBooks. These are the prices for Xero. Maybe it's a good idea to print this out. I have the 2 pages there, so you can really compare or copy paste this. Snip clip it and put it in one single page so you can compare the benefits to each one. But be careful with the benefits. I mean, reconcile bank account transactions. That's pretty basic. It should have that. Capture bills and receipts with HubDoc. It doesn't happen with Xero automatically. You have to hook up with HubDoc. Okay. And here's the option for payroll with Gusto. You can check out the payments and the prices for Gusto and compare that to the prices of payroll for QuickBooks. Go back. See, on QuickBooks, they have 25 bucks, 50, 80. 11, 32, 62, but it's going up probably $2, $3 more. So very comparable. Just make sure that description will fit your needs. Now let's go and check Xero out. It is very easy to join as well. Log in and you'll be right there with Xero. Kind of the same way that you do with QuickBooks. Once you sign in with Xero, you have option for a sample company, so you can play with it and get a feeling. It's like a test drive. You don't buy the car, you test drive the car, just for a few miles, and it's free. So the dashboard is kind of a mix between Wave and QuickBooks, because it has a lot of windows, a lot of information, but they try to make it more dynamic, more appealing. You know, the colors are nice. I'm pretty sure you can customize everything in here from colors to the rules to the way it's presented. Over here, you have the invoices, the bills, expense claims. So this is if you are providing explain claiming capabilities to your employees. You have the balances right here over a period of time. This is a demo account. So on the other menus are different. Remember that in QuickBooks, we had, let me see if I can go back right here. Remember, this is QuickBooks. This is Xero. Accounting. The menus are very similar, but they have to make it different. You have your certain reports. The reports are very similar to QuickBooks. You got your budget manager, your typical balance sheet, income statements, your cash flow, receivables, payroll, reconciliation. Reconciliation if when you are closing up the month, making sure all your bank account matches with your information in the software. So pretty cool reports as well. Very, very complete. On the business side is your, I'm gonna create a new invoice. This is my list of invoices. I'm gonna create a new one. You can create templates. The invoice is very, very clean. On QuickBooks, this is the sales. See, you have more menus, more windows. You can create an invoice. It is very similar, but you have more fields that you can apply discounts. You can probably assign it to a job in particular. You got sales tax, terms. You can probably put tax if you are doing something with different clients for the same purpose. So I want to just give you an overlook on what you can see and what you can expect. On the accounting, let's take a look at the chart of accounts. See, this is very similar to Wave, that is organized by different tabs. You have all the accounts, but you have the different accounts in here. Let's see, expenses. You already have some pre-created categories. You can definitely change this. Maybe the letters are a little bit smaller, but I like the colors and also some videos over here. QuickBooks also has a lot of video capabilities. You can do help, and it will provide you like a search where you can find videos and most common questions as well. Okie dokie. So that's Xero. Very, very quick overview about that. Keep in mind, it is a tool and you have to evaluate that tool if it fits your needs. So I've been doing taxes for a while. I've been doing bookkeeping for a while, and believe me, money problems get bigger when you're not organized. That's something that have been proven, especially during COVID-19. If you're not organized, the problems just get bigger. Any tool that you're going to use is going to be as good as the users. That's why we started with the expectations from the tools and what you cannot expect, or some unreasonable expectations from these tools. Assess your skills and then find the program that suits your situation. You are not supposed to become an expert in bookkeeping and IT technology and how to synchronize apps, but you have to understand how it is. So at least you can delegate and make sure you hire the right people. It is not about just creating an account. You have to plan and anticipate the learning curve in any program, because all these processes about bookkeeping, you have to start with your calendar and a piece of paper in reality, then jump and compare the apps that are out there. You know, how much time can I allocate to work on the app? What is going to be my learning expectations? How much time do I have to do this? So I want you to think about this. This is your action plan. Ask your business, what type of control do you need in your business? And try to divide the functions in these four columns: inflow, outflow, reports, and operations. So what is an inflow? Inflow of money coming in. Do you need to control accounts receivable? Do you need to do proposals or quotes? Do you need to follow up on those proposals or quotes? Do you do a lot of invoices and you have to keep track of that aging report of invoices? Do you need to receive payment online, or do you have Zelle, or you take checks, or you're gonna just do it by Square? So you don't need that capabilities in your website. Based on that, look for the software. Decide on that software, on that application. On the outflow, do you need to keep track of your accounts payable, meaning your bills? Bills are a great example, because I know there's a lot of business people that they get a bill, they put it on their desk in their folder to be paid. It's okay, they're organized that way. Or they put it in a basket. This is all the bills that I need to pay in order before the 5th of the month. Okay, that's okay too. Or you put your bills into the app with reminders, and you can see what are the payments that you have to make in the following 15 days. Otherwise, you're going to incur a penalty, okay? Or they're going to disconnect your services. So if you want to keep track of that, okay, yes, choose an app that is going to take care of the accounts payable reports. If you're not going to use it, just keep your basket, your folder, and everything is okay. Just take a look at that folder regularly. Documents. Do you need to scan your documents? Do you need to, for example, if you're going to do proposals, do you need to scan some quotes from other professionals that's going to be included on your proposal? Do you need that for approval from your customer in order to proceed with the job? That's a complicated process. Yes, you need an app for that to get the ball rolling, sorry. Reports. This is basic. This is a must. I mean, the reports, and this is the basic expectation. You have to pull up a profit and loss, a balance sheet, a cash flow every single month. That's a must. So now, how much do you need to compare? That's option. That's an option. Do you need to compare month to month, year to year? You have to keep track of sales. You need to keep track of what services give you more money than others, what products you sell more, what's your profit margin on certain months compared to previous year. Operations, loans. Are you working towards getting some capital loans? Are you working towards gaining line of credits? Are you working towards getting a bigger contract that you're gonna need the help of a financial institution to back you up with a loan? So definitely you need to make sure your app fits that need to keep the information rolling and updating. Are you gonna have employees? Are you gonna need to keep track of the time for those employees? Do you need to have some project summaries, margins on the projects? So evaluate what your business needs and then look for that application. Do your research internally on what do you need, and then you can definitely make a better choice regarding those apps that we said. You might like QuickBooks, but which plan of QuickBooks? So if you do this self-evaluation, it's gonna be better, easier to make a decision on Xero and on QuickBooks, for example. Think about who's gonna use this information. You're gonna have a partner, a tax guy, another bookkeeper, an assistant. So you might need different users, different levels of users with different rights, different limitations, confidential information. So that's another very, very important question. Can you delegate this? QuickBooks Xero has a lot of good options to delegate information. That person is going to help me with the invoicing. That person is going to help me with the accounts payable. So you can delegate without losing control. You know what the app can do. You know what the app cannot do by itself. So you can keep track of that, of the information for their business. Because at the end, you know, you need to make money so we can record transactions. We have an internal joke, you know, over here. You know, what happens first, you know, marketing or taxes, you know? So you need to sell stuff. You need to bring money in order to use this application. So don't lose the focus of the business owner, which is make money, push the business so it will grow, and hopefully it will grow where you're gonna need a lot of assistance, and you need the best option for QuickBooks because you are really, really big. Okay, so that's kind of the overview that I wanted to give you. Please join us in our website. We have more classes about marketing, operations, management. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Juan Salas. I'm an instructor with UNR Extension.